It's lunchtime and the Brooklyn Cafe is open for business. Live from the AMP Media Studios, Dawn and Freddie S. and their team are ready to serve up a huge portion of fun for lunch with friends and neighbors. So let's break open that lunch pail and unwrap that sandwich you brought and take a front row seat in the Brooklyn Cafe and get ready to enjoy some humor and hot topics. It's time to get a healthy serving of hope and happiness to help your day go by with a smile. Your hosts, Dawn and Freddie S., are ready to talk about food, health, dating, or just plain dream making. If you have a story to share, movie review, restaurant critique, or just a coincidental thing that happened to you, call in toll free 888-994-4995, Studio A right now. Sit back and enjoy your lunch break at the Brooklyn Cafe. Here are your hosts, Dawn and Freddie S.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. You guys remember in the day when they had that maniac host and he had a business show? Was it Kramer? And he had that show and he used to ring bells and break boards and the stock market is.
Wasn't it Morning Bell? Or that's with Morning Joe. I'm going to combine them all.
It had a name?
Yes.
All I know is that this guy was nuts and everybody loved him because he started your day. He used to get people in the flow about. So I'm thinking of starting our show on the midday like craziness.
I thought you were going to say Meet My Little Friends.
Well, this is part of it. They're the ones talking to me. You know those 12 heads you got in your head? I got them right here.
I got some guidance today. I got the voices in my head, but I got a new ADHD coach joining us.
Where's the popcorn?
I guess we got to make you some.
Well, so what I'm going to do with this is there's going to be an envelope here. And in this envelope, we're going to open up every midday show and let our little friends give us the giveaway, the giveaway
Let's do it.
of the day.
Meet My Little Friends.
So maybe I got to get an envelope because I
Who
already know
did
what you're
that?
doing
Was that
today.
like an Austin Powers thing, like Meet My Little Friends? Like, I know it was a movie line.
Why
I don't
is
know,
it you got to
maybe.
take
Maybe it
away
was
my
that.
bit? Why are you taking my bit
It's
away?
because it's National Simplicity Day.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. What is KISS?
Yes, it is.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Sip.
Keep it simple, silly. Anyway, happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everyone.
Yes.
Welcome to the Brooklyn Cafe Midday Show. We're here with some new friends, some longtime friends, a very busy crew. I had to go out today to run an errand, and I pulled up and I thought, holy smokes, this place is busy. And I realized it was our place that was so busy with all of the cars out there. The crew, they're all working in there. They want to know when lunch is. Because today, Subway is giving away free subs to get people in, but apparently it was the first 50 people in each store today. So if you're one of the first 50 people in.
I told you. Didn't I tell you?
Well, you know, I always have hope that it's going to be a little bit
I
different.
knew it was too good to be true. What do you think? A million sandwiches goes in like
For all the
across the
Subways.
country like in 1 minute. Done.
So Bailey wanted to know if we were all going for lunch.
Bailey's always eating.
So I told Bailey, I don't know if Bailey went to get lunch, but we got a great show lined up for you today. We've got Lynn Everard, our new host of a new show coming out of AMP Media Production Studios of The Editor's Desk. And we've got Lynn's most recent book right here. It is The Reuniting of Two Past Lives and the Unveiling of the 12 Sacred Lessons. So Freddie, I've got a lot of books to give away.
So we're
I've got
giving
an
books away?
entire series by Frank Ruffalo. I've got Love Bonnie. I've got Joe Corso of the Starlight Club, number 15. I also have Narcissist Abuse. I got a whole lot of books to give away, so give us a call right here at the studio. Let us know what you're doing today and win a free book. Choice is yours today. 888-994-4995, Studio A.
Studio A. Texas. I don't care. I'm going to do it on the air. I've been doing this long enough. Get me my computer, and I'm just going to give instruction on the air because stuff was put together and I messed up and I got to fix it.
Got a lot going on.
So we are going to be giving away books. Now, how are you going to do this? Because there's a lot of books.
Just give us a call. 888-994-4995. It's a working show in progress. Oh my goodness, that's heavy.
This is because, you know what's in here? My life.
The brains, this whole
So
thing.
if they call in, what do they get?
They get to choose their book, and it's very simple.
They get to choose a book.
Yep. Let us know which book you want, because you know what?
You better
First
number
call,
them.
I'm going to number. I've got more, which is so great because we've got
You
some
got to number them
amazing
because they're going to want
authors
a
joining
dossier
us.
of every book that goes.
Well, we can absolutely do that, but I have to start with our ADHD coach because she's got ADHD, so I want to make sure she is on point. We've got Brooke Schnittman with us, coaching with Brooke. Just got to hold your mic. And, you know, I'm always scrolling through social media and finding things. And one of our producers, I think more than one of our producers, has ADHD. I think a lot more people have it than they even realize, including me. I was telling you before the show started that if it was a thing when I was in school or younger, for sure I would have been diagnosed. I think it's gotten worse as I've gotten older, or maybe I've just taken on too many tasks. And I leave breadcrumbs through the studio when I start back. You know, it's like when you watch the refrigerator in your garage and you wonder why you're in the garage.
Absolutely.
That's kind of what I do. And Freddie just looks at me and says, here we go again. It's like 25 pages. Is that a thing?
It is a thing. The working memory in individuals with ADHD usually has a deficit. So when you're going into the garage and you go for a specific reason and you forget why you're there, so you start something else, you have to, with working memory, you have to keep in your mind all the different steps that you are taking to get somewhere. And it's hard to remember, okay, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to keep that in my mind, then I'm going to go here, I'm going to keep that in my mind. So we switch from task to task because of our executive functions, our working memory, our focus, our sustained attention. So yes, it is a thing. I always say I have a million tabs open and none of them are finished.
It is. It's like a working computer and you have all the tabs. You try to close them, but I don't. When I literally open my computer, I might have 10 tabs open of all the things I've started, including my emails. And see, and this is what I get. You don't do the same thing?
No, I start a task and I finish it.
I can't.
Like right now, you see this task? This is bothering me.
Is it done?
Because it's done. No, it's not correct because it doesn't have the logos, but that's okay. But it bothers me that I didn't finish.
Sure.
Now, I think I'm going to touch on even a more deeper problem. My 26-year-old son says to me, now he started Amp Square, my company.
Mm-hmm.
Me and him started this 10 years ago, or whatever it was. He said to me, how come you never told me I had ADHD?
Mm-hmm.
So I said to him, how the hell did I know you had ADHD? Because you're my parent. You should know.
Okay.
And the problem is, apparently, I thought that he was just a brainiac and he was into so many different things. I mean, he had a chemistry set when he was 6 and he was making smelly bombs.
Stink bombs?
Yeah. So I think, how do you know? And if you don't know, what do you do when you find out later in life? How do you treat that?
So there's a lot of different mental health specialists that can identify if you have ADHD, like a psychiatrist, a psychologist, even a social worker can do it as well. And there's 9 different symptoms of each type of ADHD. So there's ADHD inattentive type, there's ADHD hyperactive impulsive, there's the combined type that takes a little bit of both, and that's the one that I have. So if you are at a different part of your life sometimes, and I think I was talking to one of your staff members here, it comes out more in adults. For instance, if you have a change of job or you have a job that's really not meeting your strengths, you are doing mundane tasks, you're not interested in it, you might see some ADHD symptoms being coming to existence. So a lot of people now are recognizing that they have ADHD, especially with the pandemic, because they have to be with themselves more, they have to focus online. So you can do a self-test online. There's a lot of them out there, but there's an adult ADHD test, ARSR, and those show the symptoms. You could also go to websites like CHAD, ACO, Attitude Magazine. They have all the information as well, but you have to get diagnosed by a professional.
So once you meet somebody who you can see it's under different spin, do you have to adjust your work ethic? Because is it too fast, they're thinking about too many things, or is it too slow? I mean, what's the proper way of approaching somebody in the work field?
Everyone's different. I mean, just like people who have learning disabilities or OCD or ODD, everyone is different. So I would say that generally speaking, hyperactivity is a symptom that people with hyperactivity.
Okay.
And impulsivity is a symptom that people with ADHD have.
Okay.
So perhaps someone in the workforce needs breaks to get up and walk around rather than sitting at a desk. It's not work ethic that is getting in the way. It's the symptoms. So we exhibit different symptoms based on the individual. Even if I have an ADHD combined diagnosis and someone else has an ADHD combined diagnosis, we can look totally different. So you just have to understand the individual, and if they are brave enough and feel like they can trust their boss, then sometimes they will share that information with their boss, and then if they know enough about it, they can work together with that.
That's powerful medicine.
Is there a difference between ADD, ADHD, and all the other labels?
EFGs.
Sometimes I think we've got too many
ABCs.
labels. Right? And then they
ABCs.
go, then we've got an autism spectrum, and
Yep.
suddenly everyone has a label. That's,
Thank you, Ty.
That's not a positive label. It's an identifying, I've got autism, I've got ADHD, instead of, hi, I'm so-and-so. We all have differences.
We all have differences, whether or not you have a label. However, what's powerful for people who do have a diagnosis of ADHD or autism or anything is that they can identify and then start understanding themselves a little bit more, feeling like it's not them who's the problem, it's the diagnosis that is causing these issues. So it's an explanation, it's not an excuse. So
That's
people,
a good point.
yeah, people feel like they're part of a community. They finally get themselves for the first time, that they're not lazy, they're not dumb. With ADHD, finally, it's their ADHD, and they have to learn their strengths, their interests, their motivation to thrive, really.
Well, how did you become an ADHD coach? So
Sure.
coaching with Brooke, and you have a team of, what, 8?
Yeah, 8 coaches.
Which is remarkable. So
Thank you.
this is not just a hobby. This is a full-fledged business with a team of experts.
I
for
like to call it
everybody.
a passion.
It's remarkable.
I'm
How did you get
passionate.
involved doing this?
Sure. So in 2006, I graduated from NYU with students with disabilities. I went straight into special education teaching for 7 years. Then I was a school administrator, assistant director of special education for 4 years, all in New York. I came to Florida to be with my family and also start my own business. I had the golden handcuffs in New York with my education job. But I really wanted to focus more on helping students at the time. So I found out about ADHD coaching after I myself was coached. I didn't even know what coaching was at the time. And I was like, wow, I have the knowledge of the ADHD already from the past, 15 years, and let me put it together and do ADHD coaching. So I had some friends who were doing it in the area, told me about it. I got some certifications along the way, an ADHD coaching certification, a life coaching, a parent coaching, and I was coaching myself. And then all of a sudden I realized I couldn't take on all of these clients. I had 25 individual clients at the time. It was way too much. So I started bringing on coaches to make a greater impact in the community, and our vision is to help 1 million ADHDers in 5 years.
Now, it all explains everything. She went to NYU.
I'm waiting for you to say that. You have a
Washington
fellow alum
Square.
now.
We were at the Arc.
Did you go to NYU?
Are you graduated? Absolutely. Full ride. I love it.
That's how you found me.
NYU was a story within a story. Did you take the A train and walk across the park?
I actually took the 6 because I lived all the way on the Upper East Side, which
So you
was...
came on the other one. You were closer. The walk was smaller.
Was I?
Yeah, the A train, you had to walk across the basketball courts, and then you had to walk across Washington Square Park. I had more deals made across that park to survive, playing chess in the Arc and the
Yeah,
fountain.
they still do that.
They still do it. I
Yeah.
still got friends there doing it.
Exactly.
That's another show. But,
And you see it in the movies too.
Absolutely. Kramer versus Kramer. I was in it. They shot it there.
Stop.
They shot it all over NYU, yeah. Washington Square Park.
I was
But it
waiting.
explains
It does.
a tremendous amount. The hyper active mind is something, I think I have something.
So I'm
'Cause
wondering the difference between a hyperactive
I
mind
like
and a
it.
creative mind.
That's a good question. So a hyperactive mind comes with impulsivity. So hyperactive can look like you not being able to sit still. You are all over the place. You talk really fast. Creative, you don't necessarily need to have ADHD. However, a lot of creative people do have ADHD. Creativity is, being an artist, being an actor. I know that's also an artist. But yeah, just because you're creative doesn't mean you have ADHD, but a lot of ADHDers are creative.
I got to tell you, I know in this house, there's some of the kids that do come here. They even tell me, I'm bored.
You're what?
They're bored.
They're bored.
So that ain't
Here?
happening in here.
Can you imagine being bored here?
So the person that told me
She
that,
told me today she had nothing to do.
I need a Comcast commercial, and the deadline is, let's say, Tuesday, Thursday. See, in here, there's 5 million things to do.
It's just like pick
And there's
one.
5 million things to look at.
Yes, but the problem is that everything that you do, you have to take your time doing it because it has to be the best of the best of the best. So we throw work at them, but it's the creative juices that begin to go. Like she decided this morning to say, I don't like the set, I want to change it in there. And it looks spectacular. They have talents that are so unheard of. Josh, I don't know where he is.
You don't sound.
This guy is like a mystery. Because every day I learn something else. And in this business, you need to do many trades. So today I found a new one that he does, which is the
Vector.
the vectoring. I didn't know he vectored, which is not an easy thing.
Sure.
It's tremendous. I like the get up and go. The creative side can come as you get more motivated, and insecurities make you sort of hold yourself back. But the kids in here are learning. There is no mistakes. It's just a lack of trying. And they all do. I mean, you go in there and they're doing animation. They're doing all sorts of stuff that at one time I was told was not doable. And when I went to NYU, the first professor, I'll never forget this, told me, if you come here and you don't question a professor, then go home. This school is not for you. True story.
Absolutely.
This is the way NYU taught us. And they taught us to always ask, always improve. And when you think you got it
Why?
right, there's another inch to go.
Absolutely.
Is that too much pressure for people with ADHD? To put that on them, we got to keep going and growing. And is it too much, or is it right up their alley?
Too much pressure to have them challenge the status quo?
Exactly.
I don't think so. I think it depends on your self-confidence. So if someone with ADHD or someone who doesn't have ADHD doesn't have the confidence to speak up and raise their hands in class or challenge the status quo, then they will not be able to do that. But if someone with ADHD has the confidence and has learned tools to help them, then I think they can do that. Is it okay if I just mention one other thing?
Absolutely.
So very often people with ADHD have anxiety. And sometimes it could be a symptom of their ADHD that's unmanaged, but sometimes it could be a condition. So someone with ADHD could also be diagnosed with social anxiety, generalized anxiety, anticipatory anxiety.
Panic attacks?
Panic attacks, they could have those.
How
yeah.
do you soothe that? Because you can't take it away, but how do you control that?
How do you control it? It's to know your triggers and to work with a trained professional, whoever it is, who can help you get through that and learn the strategies. So
And that would be you.
So I'm not a therapist, I'm a coach. And I think that sometimes we can work hand in hand. I do have CBT strategies, cognitive behavioral therapy strategies that I use with my clients. However, I am not a trained, anxiety coach, but as I mentioned, people with ADHD have anxiety, so I can help them with tools and strategies that can help them overcome some of their symptoms.
But I like that better because you're being the coach gives them an opportunity to pick their path. A professional is going to sit there with a pen and say, okay, I want you to do it this way, and it takes away choice. And when you take away choice, you got a bigger problem.
But sometimes you need, there's triggers, and if there are some medications that sometimes
Absolutely.
people need. And
Let's stay away from America. For now.
But sometimes people need anxiety meds or they need focus medications.
Absolutely, and they can work hand in hand with behavioral approaches. So therapists do behavioral approaches, coaches do behavioral approaches, and typically when people say, I just got the diagnosis, or I believe I'm going to be diagnosed with ADHD, I feel like I have the symptoms, I usually say, try the behavioral approach first, and if you feel you need the medication as well, totally go for it, because the behavioral approach can help you create systems and new ways of thinking, but medication can help you, with your brain and connect the synapses of your brain in ADHD where they're not connected.
When I went to NYU and I was in pre-med, I developed triggers and I had panic attacks. It cost me, I was an auxiliary cop, it cost me my badge, it cost me my medical. I could not do the medical stuff because I couldn't go to school. And I told myself, if I ever get out of this, I'm going to stop triggers. Now, in the day, they didn't treat panic attacks. They called it something else. When you think you're always sick, what is that called?
Hypochondriac.
What?
Hypochondriac.
Hypochondriac. What was that first word?
I was going to say hypochondriacal, but I decided not to do
Ooh,
that to you.
Google.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
But the first word, and that was Dr. Schwam, he rests in peace, is the way he told me it was about. And he says, if you want, this is what you do, this is what cured it for me was running. I ran 5 miles a day.
Yes.
In the cold winters of New York City in a t-shirt and shorts, and my poor mother was standing out there watching me run around the flats of Van Cortlandt Park. And that sort of must have calmed my body, and my energy stuff started getting back together. But I still feel it.
Yeah.
It's in the back of my mind. I don't let it overtake me. So the reason that I'm saying that coaching, giving choice, for me, I had coach. And then I started to help my cousins. CCNY, Juji went to CCNY, he had panic attacks. I guess we were so overwhelmed in the day with the material and everything else because we were all expected to be doctors. And it started with the expectation.
Absolutely. And I think that the baby boomers and the old school way was be a doctor, a lawyer, right, or a teacher. And now parents are learning to not have those expectations on their children and to allow them to be whatever they want. And I think in the millennial culture and whatever's next, people aren't settling. If they don't like their profession, they do something else. And more people are learning that. So I think, yes, if you have this built expectation, then you're going to identify with that. And it's going to take you time to let go of that expectation because your parents essentially, and the feedback that you're getting is training your brain to think a certain way. So you have to undo that.
Do you coach the parents of millennials or younger kids that are coming in front of you?
Yes. So I have a parent coaching background. I also have a couple of coaches who are parent coaching certified. So we coach parents of individuals with ADHD, we coach professionals with ADHD, and we coach children and students with ADHD.
What year did you go to NYU?
Graduated in 2006.
I'm a little younger. I'm a little further back. A lot further back. I wish I had known you when I was doing sports. Because in my day, because of what I went through, and I had all these 12-year-olds and 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds, I saw what was happening.
Yeah.
And I used to separate the kids from their parents. And I used to tell the parents, they belong to me until they leave here. I got report cards, I got invitations to plays, I put a lot of kids through college. But I needed somebody on my side to understand what I went through, and you're describing it to a T. So getting her, you know, if your kid is going to Little League, like they're gonna get, not Brecken, the other one. Rowan ready for baseball. And you gotta understand that when you put your kids in sports, don't make them think that the next coming of Tommy Agee or Cleon Jones or any other big Babe Ruth. They're not Babe Ruth. Stop making them out to be something they're not. And I used to have this thing where I coached many, 20 years. And they had the names on the back of the jersey. The kids wanted their names. I would give them a letter a month or a letter a year, depending if they brought their grades up and everything else.
It's the holistic approach that you're mentioning. And it's funny because I just had this conversation yesterday. We dropped my stepson off to soccer camp. And in Florida, you know how many people want to be professional soccer players, tennis players, all of that. And I also came from a district where parents would have their children tutored after school so they can excel and be double advanced. So what does that tell your child, right, if they are identifying with being the next Andy Roddick or being the next Dave Beckham or, you know, whatever. So that they identify that way and they're, in my opinion, not developing in other areas
It's not fair.
Yeah.
You know, there's only one of those guys, and you have to learn to be you. And you sort of have to tame it down, but it begins with the parents. I used to coach my parents and let my 11 coaches take the team because I had to educate them.
Yeah.
Don't put any more pressure. I says, when you're 12-year-old and they're pitching and it's hard enough to hit that ball without you on their back. And this goes for a lot of people. I mean, I watch it now and I shake my head and I walk away because people are so sensitive right now.
But that's kids. When we come back from commercial break, I want to talk about adults that are managing it as executives, as entrepreneurs, of what it's like. Because once we get our kids to a point and then they have to transition to the rest of the world, what it's like dealing with this as an adult and expectations.
Absolutely.
So give us a call, 888-994-4995, Studio A. More to come. Coaching with Brooke, the editor's desk host, Lynn Everard, and we got some books to give away. So give us a call. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Planning for the future should not be painful and needs to be discussed. From health, family, finances, allow qualified professionals to aid in your planning. Luhu Advisors have been serving South Florida for over 30 years. A licensed real estate broker, insurance agent, assisted living administrator, and certified senior advisor, Paul Solomon is the most qualified and well-rounded advisor for any task. Specializing in real estate, long-term care, life insurance and annuities, Social Security, government benefits, and senior housing. Luhu Advisors. Let us help you. Known for his Art Deco Cubist style and compositions with dancing saturated color, Ken Bieberman has lived and breathed art his whole life. From the early 80s, he's influenced the Art Deco district of Miami Beach. Featured in numerous restoration projects, hotels, galleries, and clubs, Bieberman creates for everyday folks and celebrity clientele. He's also the proprietor of Art Repro, a giclée and scanning company in Pompano Beach. When it comes to scanning high resolution, size is not an issue. Professionally scanning art up to 10 feet and 64 inches in width, Art Repro utilizes state-of-the-art equipment. On quality canvas or paper, archival ink and printing mediums are put to use. Art Repro ensures colors are true and every nuance of the art is captured, including the canvas weave. Perfection is the priority. Contact artist Ken Bieberman today at 954-547-0095 or visit his website www.artrepro.net.
Has your heater busted, computer crashed, appliance broken? Then you need ARW Home.
Life's been pretty worry-free since I got covered with ARW Home. Don't waste thousands of dollars on air conditioning, appliance repair, and replacements. Save that money with ARW Home. Protection plans that cover household appliances, systems, and electronics.
My air conditioning broke on a Sunday. I called ARW, and they came out and fixed it right away.
Get your free quote today. Call or go to arwhome.com now.
Call 877-281-0289.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, CEO of MyPillow. Retailers, shopping channels, and now even banks have tried to cancel myself and MyPillow. During these times, your support has meant everything to us. So my employees and I want to personally thank each and every one of you by passing the savings directly on to you. We're selling the best products ever for the best prices ever. For example, we have my towels with proprietary technology, which makes them soft and absorbent. Towels that work, what a concept. They're made with USA cotton and come in a variety of awesome colors. My 6-piece towel set is regularly $109.99, now just $39.99 with your promo code. I support this show, and I would like to offer you our biggest discounts for listening. So please go to our website, mypillow.com, and put in the promo code at the end of this message to get the biggest discounts. Again, thanks for listening, and God bless.
Call 800-883-1046 and use promo code CAFESLEEP.
Hey travelers, everybody wants cheap airfares, but where can you find them? You call Smart Fares. Our prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low they're not published anywhere. Smart Fares specializes in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rentals, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, Smart Fares can help you get there cheaply and with the best price guarantee. If you want the absolute lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call us right now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these low rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the lowest rates available, so don't wait. Call Smart Fares right now for the best price guaranteed. Save up to 50% off business and first class. We've got great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 855-828-0198. That's 855-828-0198. 855-828-0198.
Imagine this is your money and someone wants to take it from you. Who is it? The IRS. Guess what? They want your money and they can take it, all of it if they want. Remember, they sent you that letter right over here that said, hey, you owe us a bunch of cash and we're going to take it from you right now. So what do? You fight back by letting our team of experts work it out with the IRS so you can keep your money. And hey, we're good at what we do. When you hire us, you get a team of guys on your side that know the IRS laws, and we'll fight really hard to save your money. So if you owe the IRS a ton of cash and you want to keep it, call right now and learn for free how we can help you put it back in your pocket. 5 minutes of your time right now can save you thousands of dollars. And the best part, it's a free call, so please call right now.
Call 800-651-4808.
Hi, I'm Dawn Clifford, owner and founder of Clifford Insurance Advisors. Established in November of 1999, we focus on mainly health, life, disability, Medicare, and long-term care insurance. Specifically for people aging into Medicare or the self-employed or even employee benefits for small business owners. We can be reached by phone number at 561-880-0391 or by email info@cliffordinsuranceadvisors.com. Visit our website at www.cliffordinsuranceadvisors.com and even visit Facebook, Clifford Insurance Advisors.
Bright, bold, beautiful. Audrey Omar creates artwork pieces that make a statement in any room. Using ethically sourced material, these handmade artworks are made in collaboration with divine higher power. This unique method gives vision, passion, and energy to every piece. Find Audrey Omar's work at the Brooklyn Cafe Studios or audreynow.com. Audrey Omar, art that opens the heart.
You've been watching the Brooklyn Cafe Show. Join us each day and after hours as we talk about the hot topics to open the conversations and share a few laughs. Now, back to Dawn and Freddie S.
By the way. You all connected? Just checking.
And we're back.
Your mic is under your lapel, so I'm just checking on your mic while we're doing that.
Can you hear me?
You know, I think it's difficult. We've got Brooke Schnittman with us, joining us of Coaching with Brooke, and we've got Lynn Everard, a host of our Editor's Desk, author, publicist, coach of people that want to write books, so we've got a whole lot of coaches here. But just to reiterate, as a parent, when you see a child that's struggling, you try anything you can to help, whether it's through coaching, whether it's through therapy. I remember when my son was in 3rd grade, he went for the regular eye test at school, and they came back and they said, your son can't see. I said, what do you mean my son can't see? He's 11 years old. Well, he just failed his eye exam. And things you don't realize, things you don't know that you don't know. I mean, I remember when he was little, he would stutter. And the teacher said to me, he's not going to read, he's got a learning disability. And the pediatrician at the time said, his brain is working faster than his mouth. Just give him, and it still does. Right now he's an attorney, he does appellate work. Just give it time. But sometimes we're so quick to label or to medicate our kids that I think what you talked about, let's try a holistic approach first. Let's work with techniques, let's work with our teachers, let's work with our after-school counselors, and work with our children on their strengths. And as you always say, you work with your strengths, and then with that, then those things that aren't our strengths come forward before we're always quick to give them a pill. And that's something I wanted to bring up with you before we got to the adult side of ADHD.
Absolutely.
Because we want this quick fix with our kids as parents because we've got a million things going on, or we've got multiple kids and you got to go to work. You want to know, if I do this for Johnny, he's going to be great and I can go along with my life. But that's not what it's like. Behavioral, positive reinforcement. I used to be a special ed teacher, so I get everything you're talking about. I know, and now I'm here. But that's why our passion is bringing people like you forward. I'm bringing in authors, and I'm bringing our children's network forward. Because that's what's so important, is working towards their strengths.
Absolutely. With ADHD or without ADHD, when you're focusing on your strengths, you are less stressed, you're less anxious, and you live in your passion and you feel more confident. But when you're focusing on your weaknesses, that's when you get anxious, depressed, stressed. So I'm not anti-medication. In fact, I was on it myself before I had my baby, and it really helped my ADHD symptoms. But it's a holistic approach, as you mentioned. There's a team of people that can help understand how you can change your behaviors, and the medication helps in the moment, but as soon as it's out of your body, it stops.
And with kids now, I see a whole lot of meditation going on in school and getting in touch with different aspects of calming themselves, of self-soothing, which they only did that if they were autistic, right? That was the only kids we worked with. But now everyone's at this heightened level of anxiety, even as parents or grandparents, right?
Look at what we're going through.
So how can you expect our kids not to feel this heightened anxiety?
Well, yeah, whatever
everything?
you exude as a parent, your child is likely going to feel. And it's hard because as a parent myself, you have to get into a place of calm before you can help your children in any state. If a parent has ADHD and they're trying to help their child with ADHD, sometimes they can clash. Sometimes they can have a harder time with that. So yes, I believe in the running, because that's like a low dose SSRI. You are feeling a lot less anxious after you do cardio. You are feeling a lot less anxious when you meditate and when you breathe. So there's a lot of strategies around that holistic approach.
See, that's what I like. Strategies, different approaches. I like to challenge more and more and more, because it takes them out of thinking and it gets them into doing. And I gotta tell you, the biggest challenge I've had is somebody, I asked them to come work for me for 4 years, and she said no, 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 and no, and some more no. Now she teaches. All of a sudden, this one is on a different plane. She's at a different level. Not to say that she has ADHD or anything. I don't know what she got. She self-analyzes. But I see people need structure, and then you have to unstructure the structure to give them a chance to grow. You know, a dry sponge is useless, but a wet sponge, which is what you add to it, is very effective.
And there are a lot of business coaches.
Yes.
And you said a lot of entrepreneurs have, I don't even like saying ADHD, but there's a lot of things going on in minds of people that are entrepreneurs. Do you help with the business strategy as well, or even with adults, your team is more of a holistic, let's deal with the ADHD?
Well, I think if you don't deal with the ADHD, then you're not going to be able to improve your business. There are a lot of business strategies that we can help professionals focus on, but you first have to again, look at your motivation towards thing, your strengths, your evaluating this different areas of your life, and get control of your ADHD first before you can focus on your business. I actually do a 12-week course on this, and we have one coming up, but everyone wants the quick fix for, oh, let's organize our time. Let's organize the house. I want to get all my to-dos done. I want to have an amazing schedule. I want to be able to heal my relationships. I want to be the best wife, the best parents, the best partner, all of those things. But until you get control of yourself and the chaos of what's going on, then you can't implement those strategies because it's not going to last.
It's true. You got to deal with the
It's
chaos.
like the airplane. Do you put the mask on you first?
Always.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Or do you put it on the kid first?
Always. And I have to ask Lynn while he's sitting here, you watch so intently and you listen so intently. Have you worked with authors that have either, I don't want to say suffer, but have ADHD or trying just to focus in and hone on? Because you do coaching in itself, and a different type of coaching to help authors bring forward their stories.
You know, I've never made that connection, but as I listen to Brooke talking, I'm starting to go through my mind and think of various authors that I've coached and dealing with some of the things that, some of the delays, some of the uncertainty, some of the anxiety that they've had. And so now I'm starting to wonder, and it's interesting because I may start looking at authors a little differently now in terms of understanding them a little bit more. And if they do tend in that direction, and if there's, you know, things to look out for, that then maybe that would be something for them to look into.
It's interesting because yesterday you gave us a quote that 9 out of 10 people that hire you, want to hire you, don't finish their book. And you work with that 10% that actually completes the book. Well, maybe we're looking at it, maybe 7 of those 9 might have a hard time organizing their thoughts and think, how am I possibly, because I have ADHD or ADD or ODD or whatever it is. It's a whole new structure.
Yeah, you know, I had a friend reach out to me from Peru yesterday and wants to write a book, but doesn't have a structure in mind. So one of the first things I do with clients, if they don't know where they're going, is I do a what I call a book planning session. And I help them create a structure, a framework that they can start to write into. So now they have a goal, and now they have a structure that will guide them through the process, because otherwise people are just writing, but they have no idea where it's going to go. And I do that with current clients as well, is, you know, here's where we're going to go. I'm working with an author now. He's been a therapist for 50 years, and he's finally decided to write his book. But his message is brilliant, but his thoughts are all over the place. And then trying to pull all that together, right? But it's fascinating dealing with a therapist because they're used to being the ones that are, you know, working on everybody else. And then you see in them that, oh, well, here's where their challenges are.
It's true. When the therapist calls you and asks for therapy, and you're not a therapist, you think, uh-oh, we got a whole lot of work to do. But it takes a team approach. So maybe a client like that, you can refer to someone on Brooke's team, and that just makes the whole writing process that much clearer. It'd be kind of a cool concept.
Absolutely, and you were right, because I've been listening very intently to what she's been saying.
I'm watching you.
And because I never thought about that before, but I can think back to people that, you know, when I tell people I'm an author coach and an author, right away, almost everyone says, oh, I would love to write a book, right? They have this dream of writing a book, but there's something standing in the way. And sometimes what's standing in the way is just simple fear, but it's also anxiety, it's also a lack of disorganization and things like that.
Ask this one how many pages of his book he wrote so far.
But that was 7 years ago. I wasn't ready yet. I wasn't ready.
Are you ready now?
Almost, because it hasn't finished writing itself.
It's never going to finish because you will continue.
Take it easy. You don't know that. Take it easy. I didn't meet Brooke and Lynn. I met back in the day a little bit. I got it. But there are things in my book. See, I don't want to write a book to talk about things that happen in my life. I want to write a book so when people read it, they can learn something about their life. Something that will generate some interest in there. And that's not an easy book to write. Like today, all these triggers are coming forward. I should have done more as a coach. I should have stuck with it. I should never have come to Florida. Because when I was doing what I was doing, I was changing kids' lives, and they were getting relationships with their parents, man. And that's really what it was. That's where it was for me. Now, how the hell do you put that in a book if people look at you and they're going to think you're nuts? This is the other question I have. Is it okay for you to do what you do because you've been taught, you've been coached, you understand where you're going, and everybody around you criticizes you for doing it? You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know. I heard so many you don't knows in my life, and I look around now, and I think I know. So you can't put that in a book. You got to live it with people. You got to live it through people. And then, when they get tired, I'll write the book.
I think that also, if I can add, with people with ADHD, we're often perfectionists, and that could be based on the anxiety of people pleasing and other people thinking, it's not good enough. So along with the structure, the backwards design, the scheduling, not feeling like it's ever done because you don't know what done looks like, and it's just not good enough. So trust me, I've been trying to write a book for 2 years now.
And you're looking at the man that helped you write it.
Exactly. I gotta hire you.
So I heard a quote a while back, and it said, perfection is not 100%. Perfection is 70%.
Correct.
Because if you wait for perfection, you will never do it. Perfection is just an excuse to mask the fear that exists inside. When you put a book out, if it has any teeth in it at all, there will be people who love it and people who hate it. And until you've found yourself a few haters, you probably haven't pushed hard enough.
True.
Well, I guess we're pushing pretty hard then.
It is. Wayne Gretzky, the greatest hockey player in the history of the game, said, if you don't take a shot, you will never score. And that always stayed with me, always.
It's digging deep. This one over here came to us not knowing anything on editing or any of the aspects. No soundboard, no running board, no set design. As Freddie says, no bad habits. Now she can set a room, she can set a set, she can set the mics, run the board, do all of it, and then find out the next guest and say to me, I got nothing to do today.
No, she got some.
Which is amazing to see the growth. So you may not do it on a team, baseball or football, but you do it here with our team. When I pulled up today, there were like 10 cars out in the parking lot. That was all of our crew, because none of the guests had even come here yet. And I thought, wow, look at all of these amazing lives that hopefully we get to positively affect.
Well, I just got a text because yesterday we had Clarence from the Platters. Now, the Platters doesn't mean anything to them because they're too young. But for me, the Platters were somebody.
Remember the Platters at all? You're young.
You're too young.
Yeah.
You remember the Platters?
Yes.
Well, the Platters were a singing group that were tremendous. And Clarence sang with the Platters. And he was sitting here yesterday, he entertained us, they sang, they got a new group going out, and he did another show. So he comes up to me, he walks up to me, he says, I've been all around the world, and I met a lot of people in my life. He says, but this house, there's something going on in this house. So Clarence, if you're watching, I said, you can come down here. I want to make him the legend musician, because for me, he's a legend. Mama Ali is Muhammad Ali's wife. That's a legend. That's probably the closest I'm ever going to get to greatness, because Muhammad is not with us anymore. You got to sort of look at the things in your life to teach those kids around you. And we all learn. All of us learn. But take time out to talk to your kid. I always said it. Talk to your kid. Talk to your kid. When you get tired, talk some more. Because they got a lot to teach you, the way they see things. And I know when I was growing up, my mother used to sit down with a cup of coffee. Okay, so what do you want to talk about today? And I said, Mom, I have nothing to say. Yes, you do. A kid always has something to say. Adults always have something to say. So that's the difference. It's our approach, our understanding, and where it's at. That's why I'm excited with the editor's desk, because he has a way with words. He has a way of delivery. He's always intent, and he makes you feel like you're going to get 15 minutes of fame. I love that. It's a different feel.
Wasn't the the Platters, didn't they do that song, The Great Pretender?
Yes.
Was that their song?
Yes.
So that was my grandmother's favorite song. So I heard it so often growing up, but I was thinking of it was almost like the predecessor to what we call today imposter syndrome.
Well, that's your imposter syndrome.
Or The Grand Illusion. Remember that was one of my songs from another show I did with you?
I remember, The Grand Illusion.
Absolutely true. How do people get in touch with you? There's so many things that Brooke does that I think you can help people, whether they're diagnosed or not, on strategies on coping. Because a lot of people feel, I don't need a therapist, but I need strategies. I need to not leave breadcrumbs. My breadcrumbs and my open tabs are how I function. Even going to Office Depot today to get paper was anxiety for me, because I knew it was another open tab because I had to print a contract. I mean, all of these things. I'm fortunate enough that we have the ability to do what we do, but there's a lot of people that are employees and they don't have that wiggle room to be able to do. And I think people like Brooke or writing the story down with Lynn is remarkable. What's the best way to get in touch with you and your team?
Sure. So Coaching with Brooke, COACHING with Brooke with an E, is my website. And I'm also on social media as Coaching with Brooke, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Have a lot of really cool YouTube videos. If you're interested in learning more about ADHD, just go to the Coaching with Brooke, and I do an ADHD Power Tools webisode series every Wednesday.
You have a great Instagram page. That's how I found you. It was a post you
Thank
put
you.
on, and I thought, this is really pretty cool, and I wanted to see what more you did, and I think it's fantastic.
Thank
Have you
you.
learned anything? Yes. All right, more to come
You know,
with
the
that.
amazing thing, my New York Mets have a rule now in Shea Stadium that is soundproof, because they discovered that noise triggers things. Right on cue. So they made it soundproof so you can just watch the game for kids. They are sold out for the rest of the year. It's sold out. They're working into next year for that room. It just comes in different forms, different approaches.
Actually, I want to talk to Brooke when we go to commercial break about doing something for our kids network.
I think it would be fantastic.
All
Thank
right.
you.
More to come. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, let's talk to Lynn Everard, new host of the Editor's Desk. But I have to talk about past lives, because I actually said to someone over the weekend, do you believe in past lives? And she sort of glanced over my head and changed the subject. So interesting, because you have a whole focus group that you work with on people that have had past lives. They're looking for more clarity on their past
Hey, look
lives.
who's watching, Mr. Frank.
More to come. All right, stay tuned. Quick commercial break. Thank you, Coach Brooke and Lynn. You're welcome to stay. We'll be right back.
Breathing through my troubles, trying to be smart, living with another, passion in my heart, partners come and go, always with a twirl.
Providing music you will enjoy. JM Production performers will brighten up your stage. Condominiums and residential communities, nightclubs and restaurants that want to provide top quality singers and entertainers for their social events, banquets, celebrations, and their customers use JM Productions to ensure that they have an uplifting and beautiful event. Now, tune in for the show.
Dancing for my life.
Amy Reshevsky can help you choose the right piece that will add some magic to your space. Amy Reshevsky has a wide range of art, from abstracts to mosaic tapestries, and she paints on different surfaces, such as reverse painting on glass, tables, wall hangings, and sculptures. Her work can be ordered online at amyreshevsky.com, or you can come in and see it in real time at the Brooklyn Cafe Art Gallery. She also does commission work, so if you have an idea in mind, she can make it a reality. She invites you to reach out to her at Facebook or at email at amyreshevsky@gmail.com. That's amyreshevsky@gmail.com. Have an artful day. Born in Marseille, France, Max Lazega creates whimsical and free-flowing interpretive art. His 40 years in the construction industry created a foundation for his craft. His unique work displays his view of the future with bold and playful combinations of materials and processes, but the methodology remains consistent. He fuses recycled materials and discarded building supplies into a fresh, well-executed approach. Lazega has lived in Miami, Florida most of his life, where he pursues his lifelong passion of creating industrial art. For more information, contact Max Lazega at artworkstudios.org or 786-326-8873.
Bright, bold, beautiful. Audrey Omar creates artwork pieces that make a statement in any room. Using ethically sourced material, these handmade artworks are made in collaboration with divine higher power. This unique method gives vision, passion, and energy to every piece. Find Audrey Omar's work at the Brooklyn Cafe Studios or audreynow.com. Audrey Omar, art that opens the heart.
Meet Jay Harmon, one of the many artists held in the Brooklyn Cafe Gallery. Jay specializes in various different art styles, but his medium to work with is colored pencils. His unique style comes from being self-taught and years of practice. Jay pulls his inspiration from many outlets like people, television, celebrities, and many more. With multiple original pieces, Jay's art graces the gallery with over 40 plus works for viewing and for purchase. His many years of being an artist has given him a chance to partner with the Derwent brand, giving him the opportunity to try many different work styles and further his craft. Feel free to come down and visit the studio to view his work, or if you're interested in your own Jay Harmon original, he's open to commissions on his website, coloredpencilartist.com, or catch his show, The Colored Pencil Artist, on Amp Media Productions on YouTube and Facebook. See you soon.
Has your heater busted, computer crashed, appliance broken? Then you need ARW Home.
Life's been pretty worry-free since I got covered with ARW Home. Don't waste thousands of dollars on air conditioning, appliance repair, and replacements. Save that money with ARW Home. Protection plans that cover household appliances, systems, and electronics.
My air conditioning broke on a Sunday. I called ARW and they came out and fixed it right away.
Get your free quote today. Call or go to arwhome.com now.
Call 877-281-0289.
Hey travelers, everybody wants cheap airfares, but where can you find them? You call Smart Fares. Our prices are direct from the airlines and they're so low they're not published anywhere. Smart Fares specializes in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rentals, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, Smart Fares can help you get there cheaply and with the best price guarantee. If you want the absolute lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call us right now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these low rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the lowest rates available, so don't wait. Call Smart Fares right now for the best price guaranteed. Save up to 50% off business and first class. We've got great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 855-828-0198. That's 855-828-0198. 855-828-0198.
You've been watching the Brooklyn Cafe Show. Join us each day and after hours as we talk about the hot topics to open the conversations and share a few laughs. Now, back to Dawn and Freddie S.
Steve Bannon, a former top advisor in Donald Trump's White House, recently told the White House panel investigating the Capitol riot that he would be willing to testify since Donald Trump now says he won't cite executive privilege. David Alexander reports.
Bannon previously defied a subpoena from the committee and is awaiting trial on criminal contempt charges. His attorney wrote on his behalf in the letter this weekend that circumstances have now changed. It's unclear if Bannon now also plans to comply with the committee's demand for documents.
Russian rockets destroyed a high-rise residential building in the city of Chasivar in eastern Ukraine on Sunday, killing at least 15 people, Ukrainian officials said. Harry Michaels reports.
Ukraine's State Emergency Service said in a statement that the bodies of 15 people were found after a residential block was destroyed by rocket fire and that 5 people were rescued from the rubble. Rescuers have made verbal contact with 3 more people trapped under debris and are making efforts to try to reach them, the State Emergency Service said.
A local official from Brazil's leftist opposition Workers' Party was shot dead by a federal prison guard shouting support for the right-wing president, according to a state civil police report and a witness.
Leftist former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva is the PT's presidential candidate and currently leads Bolsonaro in polls. Bolsonaro, who has long railed against Lula and his leftist allies, has floated the idea of not accepting any election loss, citing unfounded claims of election fraud and problems with Brazil's widely respected electronic voting system.
Chinese authorities on Sunday violently dispersed a peaceful protest by hundreds of depositors who sought in vain to demand their life savings back from banks that have run into deepening cash crisis.
They will squash them, but for how long? Because they're also a very populous state with over almost 1.5 billion people. So it's very difficult to squash so many people.
This is the latest news headlines. At least 5 people were injured, one critically, when gunfire erupted early Sunday at a large pop-up party on New York City's famed Coney Island boardwalk, authorities said. A large crowd was gathered for a pop-up party on the beachside boardwalk at 21st Street when at least one person pulled out a gun and started shooting, police said. It was not immediately clear what prompted the gunfire. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer has tested positive for COVID-19, his spokesman said. The New York senator's infections were confirmed by a test he took as a part of a regular test regime, his spokesman Justin Goodman said in a statement. The leader is fully vaccinated and double boosted and has very mild symptoms, Goodman said. Schumer will quarantine for a week, in which he will work remotely. A pregnant woman got a ticket for driving in the HOV lane. Now she plans to fight in court in light of the Roe versus Wade decision.
Is there somebody else in the car? And looking around, I said, well, yes, there is. And he said, well, where? As he's peeking in the car, and I pointed to my stomach. I was like, we're right here. And so I just kind of was in shock. And I was like, well, in light of everything that's happened, and I'm not trying to make a huge political stance here, but do you understand that this is a baby? And he kind of just brushed me off and asked me to go to the other officer to get my citation.
14 people were killed and 3 others are in critical condition after unknown gunmen opened fire at a tavern in Soweto, South Africa. Police said they're investigating reports that a group of men arrived in a minibus taxi and started shooting at patrons in a bar late Saturday night. South African Police's colonel said the group of men armed with rifles and 9mm pistols entered the tavern and started shooting randomly at patrons who were sitting inside. And that's the latest news headlines. I'm Alan Edwards.
You've been watching the Brooklyn Cafe Show. Join us each day and after hours as we talk about the hot topics to open the conversations and share a few laughs. Now, back to Dawn and Freddie S.
I'm confused. So I grew up in the Bronx, right? Went to the bodega every day to get some bread and stuff. Not a bodega, what's it called?
Be nice.
Be nice? It's not called Be Nice.
It's called Be Nice.
I am being nice. I don't think there's anything wrong with making fun of the fact that you don't know what bodega is and you don't know the language, right? I mean, you teach me some words in Yiddish or Jewish or whatever it is.
Or English.
I take a shower. To become Jewish, you have to take a shower. That's not what it's called.
Chelsea was just in Spain, and all the bodegas are now called La Comidas.
La Comidosa.
So they've changed all the
Places
names
you
in
eat.
Spain. They said, and if you can find one of those, and the food is really good, and the tapas are very fresh. So they've changed them all.
And it's okay if you want to have a burrito for breakfast. They did it all the time. Or if I want to have pizza. They did it all
Cold
the time.
pizza for
Chinese. Oh, for breakfast, the best. The best. But it doesn't mean that you're throwing dirt on anybody or, just liven up a little bit. Stop it with all the craziness.
Craziness. All right, we got Lynn Everard. You're welcome to stay, Brooke. See if Brooke, we can work with her a little bit and bring it forward on our Kids Network. I think would be nice to share some strategies for kids also.
Now, this is going to be part of the editor's desk, the reuniting of two past lives.
This is the book that he just put out with Louise, and as of yesterday, you had sold 120 copies. In the first 10 days, and apparently the average sale lifespan of a book is... Talking to your mic? Talking to your mic? Talking to your mic?
Lynn, talking to your mic. Get
Yes,
used to it because you're going to be doing
So
it.
average sales in the life of a nonfiction book is about 500 copies total.
You sold 120
So
already.
we did 120 in the first 10 days.
That's
so,
amazing.
so the goal is to sell at least 500 of these bad boys? Is that the goal?
Well, it's the goal. The sky's the limit as far as we're concerned. We just started researching something yesterday called Amazon affiliates, and so that may help us. And there's more places to get to. We've been doing interviews with people who have read the book, video interviews on Zoom, and then we're posting those things. So there's always another layer of marketing.
And I have to ask you, I love the whole book concept. I am not a person that could sit down and write a book because I talk as much as I do. But the whole concept of past lives fascinates me. And I think it fascinates a lot of people. Some people think, oh, how is that possible? But when you meet someone and you have that soul connection, you can't describe it in words. You just feel like they're family. They're just home. They're easy to talk to. Is that the best way to describe it? And or people go, maybe we're just in alignment and they don't think it's a past life. How would you know whether it's a past life or just your really best friend sitting next to you?
Well, it happens in so many different ways. And so it's really difficult to say that there's just one way that it would happen. But typically, if you reach a point with someone, and it could happen instantly, and it could happen over a period of time, where everything just seems to click with that person, and the best way to describe it is that they feel like home to you, right? That somehow your soul has arrived home. Because if you have a past life connection with someone, you've likely had more than one past life with them. You may have had 5, 10, 15, 20, because the belief is that we travel in soul groups called cadres of about 11 to 1,200 souls. And it's like a traveling minstrel show, right? A traveling theater company, and every year you go out and put on a new play. And everybody has a different part, and some people are the lead one year and they're backstage crew the next. But it's the same company, the same touring company that works together, that travels and then has all these different life experiences. And so that's the best way to describe that. And then just the sense of how you know there's a peace that you feel, that there's a sense of calmness, there's a sense of extreme joy in finding this person. You almost can't even describe it. I will tell you that the very first person that I connected with from a past life was someone that I had never seen before. She walked into a meeting at a friend's home, and I was sure I was in love with her, like love at first sight, because I had no idea what this was. And then I started to understand that, oh, this is someone I would have known in a past life. It wasn't love at first sight, but there was that soul connection that was so deep with that person that you just knew them. And it takes a while to start to understand how it works, because you end up in this place where you apply what you think you know, living in this lifetime, and then you realize it doesn't work in that situation. And so then it's just a matter of letting go of what you think you know, and then opening up to this new thing. And then since that first time, I have met, I would say, at least a half a dozen people that I have past life remembrances with, and but I have opened up to probably about a dozen past lives that I remember in various parts of the world.
With the same people from this life you think have been with you in multiple lifetimes?
In some cases, like there was a woman who I met about 4 months ago.
Thank you.
And I knew with her, I didn't know it the day I met her. I knew it the next day, the next morning when I woke up, that she was my teacher in a past life in probably Nepal. And one of the things that I've noticed in myself is that whenever I seem to get obsessed about something, right? Like for about 6 months, I was watching every video on YouTube about Nepal, about Mount Everest, about the Everest Base Camp trek, about the Lukla airport, the most dangerous airport in the world. And I just couldn't get enough of these videos. And this was leading up to the point where I connected with that person.
Wow. So it's as if the angels or the guardians or guides had you hone in on this, so you were open to receiving this.
Right. Yeah, and it's I think there's a level of belief that it requires, or probably more appropriately, it's letting go of the disbelief in it. Louise and I were talking yesterday about synchronicity, and we realized there's a section at the beginning of that book talking about synchronicity and how everything flowed as we were working on the book. And yet, there's so many more synchronicities, and they keep happening with us. It's absolutely amazing. Saturday, when we had our experience at the Barnes & Noble on Glaze Road here in Boca, where we went, they had ordered 3 copies of the book through the normal channels. We went in, we signed them, they put the signed copy sticker on the bottom of the book. They took us up to the second floor to the self-transformation section, and then the employee was looking at all the ISBN codes of all the books, rearranging the shelf to put our books on the shelf. He put the books in the exact spot on the shelf where 3 weeks before, Louise and I had taken a proof copy of our book into the store, up to that section of the store, put it on the spot, the exact place on the shelf where we envisioned that it would be. Now, mind you, at that point in time, we did not know if the book would appear there or not. Then we did the next steps we needed to take to make that happen, to allow it to happen. And so not only was the book right where it was, where we thought it would be, where we intended it to be, but while we were there filming and taking photos, there was a woman looking around at books in the area. She heard us talking. She came over, looked at the book, and became the first person to buy our book at Barnes & Noble.
Congratulations.
It's interesting because sometimes we rediscover people of our past, and they're here to teach a lesson of something that happened before. And it's funny because that happens with people, a lot of people in my life. And all of a sudden, I learned what I liked, I learned what I should improve on, I learned what I should have done better. And I mean, you can't walk up to people and say, you know, we had a past life together, because they sort of look at you like I'm Cocoa for Cocoa Puffs.
I actually did that with someone.
How'd that work for you?
She said, yes, we did.
Wow.
Now, this is a stranger?
This was someone I barely knew. I had probably met once 2 weeks before that. Saw her again at a class. I don't even know what possessed me, because I'm not the kind of person that walks up to someone and says something like that. But, you know, because it sounds like a great pickup line, right?
Right, or you're crazy. You
Or
don't
you're
know
crazy,
what their
right,
response
one
is
of the
going to
two.
be. Sure.
Right.
Now, have you ever said it to a guy?
What's that?
Have you ever said that line to a guy?
So this was a woman that I talked to, but like I said, I not normally anything
Lynn, I think
that I
they
would
want
do.
to change your mic out.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
It's interesting because
So when I said that,
yeah, a lot of people think it's pickup lines, but it isn't. Sometimes it's just truth in the making.
So when I said that, she said yes. I said you and I were king and queen in in a tribe in Mexico many years ago? And she said, yes, we were.
It's interesting because she probably didn't know how to say something to you, or for fear that you would think she was like crazy.
It's funny because we had talked about it enough to where we were going to meet a few weeks later to start writing, I guess, that book, because we thought it was going to be our love story from that lifetime. But she never showed for the meeting. And I said, okay, I can't hold on to this any longer. I'm going to let it go. 9 months later, I made the discovery with Louise that it was she and I who were lovers in that past life. And we were the ones that were meant to write the book.
It's an incredible story. More to come. We're going to take a commercial break. I love this whole story because there are people that I feel connected to. Actually, I went to a psychic. She told me my son had been with me in a past life, but he was my father in a past life who protected me, and he is now here in this lifetime as my son to continue to watch over and protect me. So, interesting concept. We're going to take a break. More to come. We're going to have our host of the new evidence coming up. Thank you so much.
Do you need a strong cup of coffee to get you through your day? Try your very own Brooklyn Cafe Show coffee, the official coffee of the Brooklyn Cafe Show. You can pick up a bag from us, or two. Contact us at 866-224-5422, or just stop on by. We're at 2400 Northwest Boca Raton Boulevard, Suite 13. Come on in, grab a bag of our signature Brooklyn Cafe coffee. The cafe doors are always open.
Welcome to AMP2 TV, the first and only internet production company that's truly plugged in. When you're looking for a full-service internet radio, TV production company, discover AMP2 TV. AMP2 TV is a full-service media company that can provide all streaming videos, video studios, radio studios, and television studios. Call us today at 866-224-5422. For no business is too small to grow to be accounted. It's time for your message to be seen. Let AMP2 TV help get you there.
I'm Heidi Wild, and the only moisturizer I use on my skin is Javon's Desired Radiance. Javon's quality starts with producing the goat milk of the blue herd. It could make your skin look and feel younger and more radiant, just like mine. And now, there's a Javon's Desired Radiance for men, too. Order now and find out for yourself at javon.com.
Welcome to Lost Harbor Spirits, a world where pirates inspire our spirits, treasures remain undiscovered, and flavors are infused with the essence of mysterious voyages. The distillery became one of the few women-owned craft spirits production sites in the U.S. From our award-winning spirits of vodka and rum to delicious gin, we're always coming up with some new and exciting flavors to keep your cocktails delicious and fresh. Contact Palm Beach Distillery at lostharborspirits.com to take a tour or purchase your favorite spirit at your local liquor store.
Bright, bold, beautiful. Audrey Omar creates artwork pieces that make a statement in any room. Using ethically sourced material, these handmade artworks are made in collaboration with divine higher power. This unique method gives vision, passion, and energy to every piece. Find Audrey Omar's work at the Brooklyn Cafe Studios or audreynow.com. Audrey Omar, art that opens the heart.
Artist Rosie Sherman paints her passions to share with everyone. Expressing herself through bold and vibrant colors, her suggestion and style are always in flux. Inspired by travels, nature, romance, and the human spirit, Rosie makes sure her depiction of women are strong and proud. Her landscapes illustrate the changing seasons in the diverse world that we live in. To find her artwork in the multiple medias you can purchase, visit rosiesherman.pixels.com.
Imagine this is your money and someone wants to take it from you. Who is it? The IRS. Guess what? They want your money and they can take it, all of it if they want. Remember, they sent you that letter right over here that said, hey, you owe us a bunch of cash and we're going to take it from you right now. So what do? You fight back by letting our team of experts work it out with the IRS so you can keep your money. And hey, we're good at what we do. When you hire us, you get a team of guys on your side that know the IRS laws, and we'll fight really hard to save your money. So if you owe the IRS a ton of cash and you want to keep it, call right now and learn for free how we can help you put it back in your pocket. 5 minutes of your time right now can save you thousands of dollars. And the best part, it's a free call, so please call right now.
Call 800-651-4808.
You've been watching the Brooklyn Cafe Show. Join us each day and after hours as we talk about the hot topics to open the conversations and share a few laughs. Now, back to Dawn and Freddie S.
She can take pictures of anything she wants. She can take pictures of anything.
And we're back. Just wanted to mention before we get into the segment, a new collaboration. Can you see this?
It's got to be Josh on the board messing with you.
Always. Can you see this?
Oldies 95.3 and Oldies 96.9.
Our new home here in Boca Raton. They're playing music all day long.
You know, there's oldies and then there's oldies.
I'm sorry?
Even the 80s are oldies now.
At my age, 2000 is an oldies.
That's what I'm saying, right? We're so old that even things that aren't old are oldies. We look at guests and they go, huh? What's that? What's the Platters? Who's the what?
The Platters. The Platters are in the 60s.
I would love to have Clarence Tate back on for sure.
But 95 point.
That's the old one. We're 95.3, 96.9. That is Jupiter and the Palm Beaches.
This is the other two stations they have. Check it out. We are on the air 6 to 8, Monday through Friday there as well. But I like our new collaboration with the Oldies, called the Oldies Station.
So you can find us, the old WWNN, same call numbers, 95.3, 96.9 FM and 1470. We're going to be live tonight at 7 o'clock.
Yes, and we're going to be offering the opportunities to put commercials, radio commercials out as well. I'm just waiting for Vic to call me back, so more to come on that as the week progresses. And we may be doing a show up from West Palm Beach.
All right, more to come.
More to come.
I'm excited to get back into this Whole Soul Lives because I love what you said about like a traveling minstrel show. Because in this lifetime, in the past more than few years, I've come across souls that I know have been in my past life. But then I think, how can all of these souls happen to be here in South Florida that I've been with? Then I start thinking, that's not even possible. Maybe I'm just like crazy. But I know when I feel it, and I know when my past meets my present what that feels like. And I think, how are they traveling with me? But yet, here you say they travel with you. And you find them again.
Well, you find yourself in Florida. It begins there, doesn't it?
I've been here my whole life, so.
Well, if you went to New York, you meet them there as well. It's not like because you're in Florida, you're meeting them. You're meeting them because they've been there.
It kind of depends upon how far down the rabbit hole you really want to go. Because there's so many different aspects and potential aspects of all of this. And you know, we know what we think we know, which means we really just think we know what we know. And so we can always find evidence for what we believe, but there's some things you simply can't explain. And so that's when we start looking for other explanations. And if it resonates within us, you know, I'm take you a little bit into my first book, which is how we originally met. How speaking your truth could save your life and how it saved mine. We all have truth about ourselves. And so sometimes our journey through life is just discovering what our own truth is and then being able to operate, live our lives from that place of our own truth.
Well, I have to ask you about that because when you discover the truth, you can be in any stage in your life. Does it affect the stage in your life prior? So maybe you discover this truth and you've already married and you've got children and grandchildren. Does it change your perspective going forward or how you lived your life, or people can just merge two worlds?
It certainly can. And one of the ways that that works is that we have different layers of truth. When I wrote that book 3 years ago, I was operating from a basis of that there were 4 layers of truth, and now I'm working on a basis of that there are 6 layers of truth, because like everything else, it keeps evolving. And so, but the most important truth is the internal truth, which is the truth of who we are, which essentially that truth is the same for all of us. It's our divinity, our connection to God, to the universe, to source, however you want to identify that. That is the one truth that we all share. Every other layer of truth is unique.
Right?
What's that?
But all our truths, your truth to God and your connection is different than mine or different than yours.
Right.
Of who we are. Yes?
Yes. Yes.
But it's that you have it, or you know, again, yes, it's going to be different. You've taken a different path to get there. But because we're, you know, why do we come here, right? Why are we born? We come here to learn. We come here to have experiences. We come here to grow. And so as we go through these different lifetimes, there are different lessons that we learn. And because, you know, it's kind of boring just sitting on a cloud, right? And I'm just being facetious with that. But we come to Earth because there's like stuff to do here, right? There's experiences to have. When you go to a theme park, you don't just go there to sit on a park bench, right? You go to the theme park to experience the rides, to experience the food, to experience people watching, right? All of it. And so that's why we come here to Earth, is to have a full experience of
the purpose
of this.
Interesting.
Yeah, purpose. Now I got to ask you, some of the people that you meet from prior lives, it's not always good news. It doesn't mean that just because you met, you were walking hand in hand in a park. Sometimes you'll meet warriors. Sometimes you'll meet not such nice things. Is this correct?
Friends and foes, I'm assuming.
Yeah, because it really can be anything we want it to be. So everybody is going to have a different experience when they come here, but it's a perfect experience to give them maybe something they didn't have before to help round out their growth as a soul.
Round it out.
And what are the other truths? There's 6 now?
So there's 6 layers. So if we take them from the outer layer, okay, so the outermost layer is our belief systems. And our beliefs, basically we choose to believe what we believe. And some of our beliefs actually act as a wall to protect us from becoming more aware of ourselves. And so because we can say, oh, I don't want to mess with that past life stuff, right? Because I believe this, okay? Or I can say, well, I don't want to do that because I believe that would go against my beliefs. So there's a layer of protection that our beliefs have. But where we really start to do the work, where we really start to evolve in this lifetime, is when we break through those layers of belief and get into that next layer, the 5th layer, which is awareness. And so awareness is what starts us on the path to our growth. And then once we do that, then what shows up for us is our 4th layer, which is our day-to-day truth. And it's not really truth, it's truth with a small t, and that's made up of our opinions, our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, right? And none of those are truth with a capital T. They come and go. You know, they are not permanent. They're just aspects of how we live life. But then it starts getting interesting again, because when we go to the next layer of truth is our childhood wounding. And we all, even if we've had the best experience as a child, we all have the ability to make up stories, right? And so whether you've had a traumatic childhood or not, and we know that a lot of children have gone through various forms of abuse, but whatever it is, we have what happened, and then we have the story we made up about it. And that story then is the again, that's the protection from being able to go in and start to heal that part of ourselves. Once we break through that level of protection and dive into our pain in our childhood wounding, then something amazing happens, because then we get to this layer of purpose. Now we start to understand that we have a purpose in life. There's so many people that work in professions that are really extensions of their own childhood wounding. For example, I know several therapists who were abused as children. And so, sure, they went through their whole process, they learned, they healed, they grew, and what do they want to do? They want to help other people who've gone through some of the same things. And then as we go to that next level, we get under our purpose, we discover the gifts that we all have that are unique to us. Because why would you have a purpose if you didn't have an ability to execute it, to carry it out?
What do you consider a gift?
A gift is any kind of talent or skill. Maybe you have the gift of empathy. And so you could be fantastic working with people who are grieving, or people who are struggling in life and need someone to come alongside them and understand their pain. And then, of course, once we get through that gift, now we're back into the core truth, what I call the core truth, which is our divinity, or our relationship to divinity. And so those are the 6 layers.
Do you live a life to learn, you pass on, you come back to live off of that lesson, or a new lesson?
Some lessons take multiple lifetimes to learn, and some lessons can be learned in one lifetime.
How is it that you have the ability to understand the layers of understanding, for lack of a better word?
I would say that that's probably part of my gift.
I would agree.
Right? That, so I'm a product of incest. And what that meant for me was carrying around my father's guilt and my mother's shame, especially because my mother was actually one of my sisters. When I went through this process of healing that started 7-8 years ago and is continuing, something amazing happened for me, and that was that because I had to heal that wounded feminine and wounded masculine within myself, I learned to balance those energies together, and I also learned how to know which energy I'm coming from at any given moment. So when I work with people, even though I'm a man, I typically start more from a feminine perspective, a feminine energy perspective, which is very soothing and calming for people. And then once we get through that piece, then I can bring the strength of the masculine in to support them and guide them through the process. And so I can say I spent much of my life wondering if maybe I wasn't, quote, man enough. But when I began to understand that I couldn't do the work I do if I was operating out of a very aggressive masculine perspective, I'd scare people away. And in my work, I don't want to scare people away. I want to be able to be a safe space for them, because that's when they can process and deal with all their stuff. And this will bring us back to the editor's desk again, which is when you're writing a book and you're telling your story, people who work with me end up going deeper than they planned on. Because I don't want a surface story. I don't want a list of facts and figures, because nobody's going to want to read that.
Right.
So I take people deeper into the pain, the struggles, what it was like, what it felt like, and then how they grow and how they evolve in this life, and how they change the trajectory of their lives. So one of the clients that we published his book last summer, I think almost this week, really, a year ago. He lost 250 pounds and let go of a 27-year alcohol addiction. And we told his story, and it took a long time to put it all together. But he's going to make a difference in the world for people, because they're going to see that if he could do it, they'll see it's possible for them.
Your story is fascinating. So what was it like for you growing up? You had to know it was a product of incest, right? Because your mother was your sister.
Actually, I didn't know.
You didn't know.
I was the secret that everybody in my family kept from me.
How many siblings do you have?
I have a total of 13. 3 died as infants.
Wow.
And there were 3 sets of twins in that. My father sexually abused at least 3 of my 4 sisters, probably the 4th one as well. And I was born. The youngest one got pregnant, and I was born as her son. And I saw her every week as a child, but had no idea she was my mother. I grew up believing she was my aunt, or my sister.
Your sister.
Yeah, and it took me 50 years to finally unravel who I was.
So you were raised by your mother and your father, but your sister was really your biological mother.
Well, I was raised by my grandmother and my father. My sister was actually my mother, but my grandmother legally adopted me, and then they sealed the record, so I couldn't even find out for sure who I was until I was about 50 years old.
So you just recently found out. What was that like for you?
Well, when the people closest to you lie to you about who you are, it gives you an interesting perspective on the truth. And so one of the important things for me, probably the biggest deal breaker that I have as a person, for people to be in my life, they have to tell me the truth. And one of the things I tell people is, I would rather hear your worst truth than your best lie.
Sure.
When you found out the truth, did things make more sense to you?
A lot more sense, but there was still a lot more sense to come. Because it gave me some sense of, okay, this is how it worked, but what now? What do I do now?
And what was that process like for you then going forward?
So going forward, it was, I started engaging in things that took me into the truth, but I was always going into other people's truth. I was an expert witness in legal cases, and always looking to bring the truth of the situation, but I was still not as passionate about my own truth as I was about other people's truth.
(888) 994-4995, Studio 8. Call in. I think we'll take this tonight with us into tonight's Tuesday show. Call in. We'll be happy to give you this book to read. The biggest question I wanted to ask is, I want to go back to the editor's desk that you are going to be hosting. What can we look forward? What are you going to bring forward on the editor's desk?
So everyone has a truth about themselves, a message that came from their life experience, came from their beliefs. And the reason that I work with authors is because truth is important to me, and writing a book is a way for someone to speak their truth. And so what we're going to do on the editor's desk is we're going to talk with authors about what motivated them, what drove them to be one of the 1 in 10 people who finished their book. And we'll talk about what their story is, the content of the book, whatever they wrote. Even people who write fiction books, surprisingly enough, will often put a lot of themselves in their fiction book, because ultimately we can't hide our own truth. And once you feel like you can speak it, a lot of things start to change. So we will interview authors, and we will get to the heart of the truth about who they are, about why they wrote their book and about what got them to finish it when so many people start writing and never finish.
It's interesting. Once you speak your truth, a lot will change.
Well, his life is interesting, and I'm anxious to see the segue where he's going to be talking to others, because others are going to end up telling you their truths and things that they didn't finish and the reasons why. It could be an interesting segue.
We also talked about, you have a community of people from past lives, not all necessarily from your past life, but people who believe in past lives. Maybe bringing some people forward to talk about what it's like to make that soul connection, what it feels like, what they're looking for.
It's an unbelievable...
It'll be a whole other great segment.
It's a whole... I mean, this whole network is going to be unreal with spiritlife.tv, because it brings in different aspects and it leads us down the path of truth, right? You're going to learn things about yourself that you didn't know were possible. I mean, she was sitting here today and she was nodding her head, and her and her husband had these conversations. And you've met people and you've said, wow, what do I know this person from? Certain smell, right? A perfume. And you say, I remember that. And where did I remember? Sometimes a flower will give you a trigger. It's just an unbelievable story. And I remember when we started the Editor's Desk, we had a whole different idea towards that thing. But I think it's finally found a home.
It's great. When we first met Lynn, you had talked about a father support group that you had. Do you still have that?
I don't. It's funny. I actually have started working more with women. I have a book project I'm working on. I haven't really shared it publicly, but I am, so I'm passionate about ending abuse of all kinds as someone who experienced that. And I am working on a book project that I'm funding. The book will come out next year. It's called Survivor Stories. And I'm interviewing survivors of abuse and then telling their stories anonymously in this book. And the goal of it is to raise awareness of abuse. We don't realize how many different kinds of abuse there are in this world. For example, sibling abuse is one we don't talk about. There are 40 million people who have experienced sibling abuse just in the US. And it could be anywhere from a sibling, beating you to it could be something sexual, it could be something emotional, it could be anything. Because when we grow up in a dysfunctional home, we're carrying a lot of that with us out into our lives beyond that home. And so the only way we're going to be able to start to stem the tide of all these things is to make people aware of what's out there and make people aware of the different kinds of abuse that there are. So, and I'm looking for people who'd like to come forward and work with me. There's no cost to them. We do it as a Zoom. I take the transcript and then I build their story that they have the final right of editing on, which will ultimately go into the book. And the beginning of the book is going to talk about the challenges with abuse. And I've come into contact with a lot of people who've been through abuse, and the proceeds from this, most of the proceeds from this are going to go to a nonprofit of survivors supporting survivors.
I want to introduce Lynn to Frank because he has that human trafficking book.
I'm going to be calling him today,
because I think that'll be a great interview. And actually, he has that sent out to be a movie, I believe. That's one of his books.
It's in California, yeah.
Right? To bring that forward.
But it's important because I think that people sometimes are hesitant to say what they were thinking. And you give people the courage and tell them it's okay, let's talk about it. And I think that whole diameter, it's never been done, because the fear always conquers the ability to do. And I think that this show is going to have people open up and tell us their stories because they want to, because they have choice.
Well, let me ask you about that. The fear of telling the truth, that when that truth comes out, someone else might be hurt. How do you overcome that layer of truth?
So I'll share what I had to do before I put my first book out. And that is that I realized that there were going to be people who disagreed with me, or there were going to be people who would find fault with it. And if I was just writing the book for my ego, I wouldn't have wrote it the way that I did. Because in that first book, I admitted to the world that I was a nice guy. Because that's how I lived my life, because I was so intent on protecting women from my father, because I was worried that I was carrying him within me. And, you know, a lot of things have changed with me over the years since then. But what I did was I said, okay, if I'm going to let one other person read my book, I'm going to have to let go of this preoccupation with protecting myself. And I'm going to have to do it in a way where I just tell the truth. The kind of the whole truth and nothing but the truth, right?
Was your father alive when your book came out?
What's that?
Was your father alive when your book came out?
No, my father passed away over 50 years ago.
Wow.
When I was 13. But everyone in my family feared him long after he passed.
Wow.
That was the level of what he had instilled in people, because what he had told everyone in the family was that they told anyone he would kill their mother. And that's what kept everyone quiet.
It's a huge story, right?
It is. And I'm looking forward to listening and watching what Lynn puts forward and brings forward, and the people he brings forward. You know, it's like I tell you, I stopped writing my book because my book it's not finished. You know, I sit here and sometimes I am amazed at some of the things I learn every day. Every day. I sit at home and I go, wow. What I should do is take notes, because the memory begins to fade and only the strong come through. But I got to tell you, she makes fun of me because I got stories upon stories. There was a commercial, a bowling commercial. I have the greatest bowling story you will ever hear. Reading certain books, Catcher in the Rye, always had an impact on mine, because I was told you're not supposed to read it. I read it in high school. Meeting you has opened up so many different doors in the last 2 weeks. It's changed my life. The outlook of what I want to accomplish is so crystal clear now that it even scares me. But like you say, you got to go. So it's time to go.
You can't hide the truths anymore.
Yeah.
And I love that you come forward with all of the information on past lives and connections. So how can people find that side of what you're doing, that connection piece?
Sure. Louise and I have a Facebook group called Access Your Past Lives. We'd love to have you come and join us. We post in it regularly, and we post a new video every week. And our book is available for sale on Amazon. Just look up the reuniting of two past lives, and you can find it, if there's still copies left, at Barnes & Noble on Glades Road in Boca.
We've got a couple here, so let us know.
Yes, and we did a video from there on Saturday, and I said, come on and buy them out so they'll buy some more. So we love the idea of sending friends to buy our book in local stores and local places.
So much more to come. And Lynn and Louise are hosting, I guess, essentially the editor's desk on Thursday night right here at 7:30. We're going to get a sneak peek behind the book, behind the 12 truths, the 12, it's not the truths, those are the 6
12
truths.
sacred lessons.
The 12 sacred lessons. I can't wait to take a look into this.
I think it's going to be an amazing trip.
Thursday
amazing
night
journey.
at 7:30, so more to come. So much. Lynn, thank you so much for sharing that story with us. You know, we
welcome.
are so blessed that people trust us enough with their story and to share it. So if it has helped just one, then we hope we've helped just one.
Eileen Lieberman, it all starts with you. We did the same voyage years ago that we did with Lynn. And the second time around proves to be the winner. Because we've grown. We've understood what these...
Well, I think you and I understand more of our truths.
Well, I think I understand why God has put him in my path. Not once, but twice. And things don't happen it's not an accident. if you think it's an accident, you know, you ain't ready for this learn either. You're going to have to wait for the next one.
You know, what do they say? Sometimes you have to wait and see what the message is. And now that you're putting that book together on abuse, have to introduce him to Frank Ruffolo, and we're going to call him right after the show.
Few people, but
All
good
right.
stuff.
Lynn, thank you so much for joining us.
Lynn.
We're going to wrap this up. To our crew, we hope you have learned a little bit of truth. Also, you can find Brooke, Coaching with Brooke, online if you have ADHD, ADD, if you're looking for some help on coaching for yourself, a loved one, or your child. Coaching with Brooke all over social media. Wrap it up.
We'll see you tomorrow. Don't be
Have
late.
a great day, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.
Well, that's about it for today. Even though the show's over, the Brooklyn Cafe is always open for business. You're invited to join the fun every day from 12 to 2. If you missed some of the laughs from today, Dawn and Freddie S. will bring you more good cheer next time. You can follow the Brooklyn Cafe on Facebook at the Brooklyn Cafe TV to rewatch every minute of the show. We'll see you next time.